Welcome to Donuts with a Sprinkle of Social Media, the podcast for all small business owners.
I'm your host, Shaun Moat, and with 15 years experience in digital marketing, I've got a passion for small businesses and social media. Each week, we'll speak to a business owner, find out about their business and their struggles with social media. So let's dive into this week's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Donuts with a Sprinkle of Social Media. I am super excited. I have got the Gloria Hunniford of Circle Networks, Mr. Dave McColl of Not Just Travel. I'm sorry, Dave, I've been telling people all week I'm just going to introduce you as the Gloria Hunniford. Dave,
funny.
Welcome along. I'm super excited to know more and get our listeners to know more about what you do.
Thank you, Shaun. No, it's a pleasure to be here. Gloria Hunniford, I eat your heart out. That's
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's a first. Thanks.
That just shows our age that we know who Gloria Hunniford is.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Gloria Hunniford. So we've got a new spokesperson that's joined the Not Just Travel group, and that's Eamon Holmes. I've got to be careful what I say because of the nature of his work, but we've had an association with him. I think it was last month when we got the announcement that he was going to be a spokesperson for us or what have you. But that's obviously key. That's powerful. He meets some of us, Not Just Travel people, on certain training events that we do internally. And I wonder if you'll see this and it will get back to Gloria Hunniford. She won't be very flattered, I'm sure.
That would be brilliant if he does. So, not just for travel. I suppose as it says in the name, it's not just your standard high street travel agents. You do something special.
Yeah. It's someone asked me how I could sum it up in a couple of sentences, and I'm still struggling to deal with this. But in a networking group that you and I belong to, the Circle Networks group, there's a woman there, Helen Goad, I believe her name is. Goad. She said recently, I'm terrible with surnames, so apologies, Helen, if I've got that wrong. She said something great yesterday because I've got an app. So my app helps my business because it gets referrals. That's straightforward, and it's really, really, really easy to both download and share. And if I get the opportunity, I'll explain that later on. When she saw it, she said, and I quote, "Oh my God, this is like I've got all the travel brochures in the world at my fingertips because the app is designed with deals that we put together that you don't normally find when you're going on to TUI, EasyJet, for example, Jet2. Now, we work with those guys as well, but we also work with a plethora of what's known as trade-only suppliers. So what that basically means is we've got access to not just the stuff that you can type into Google and find, but other companies that you can't access, but we can on your behalf. When I was waiting to get on the call this afternoon with you, I was on a call to another company called US Air Tours. Now, they're one of our key travel partners, and they're trade only as well. So they supply us, Hayes Travel. I think they deal with other travel agents as well. But I think we're one of their biggest clients. We do an awful lot of business with them, and they specialize in the Americas. So it's basically Canada right down to the Caribbean, Mexico, and top of South America, I think. So,
and when are you taking me,
I've been
Dave?
doing this now for a relatively short space of time. So I'm picking up fragments of information. I'm full of it. So I'll probably jump all over the show. But hopefully that's answered some of what you've been after.
And like you've said to me previously, you are a one-stop shop, aren't you, for everyone?
Yeah.
As we were speaking before we started the podcast today, I told you I was a added F1 fan, and know that you do some amazing trips for F1, don't you?
Yeah. We've got access to lots of stuff that people wouldn't normally associate with a travel agency. So, for example, and I'll come back to F1, we do things like, my first booking was a friend of mine, Jackie. Jackie and her partner, they went to see a West End show. They had an overnight stop in a hotel in London, and there was, I think there was a free ferry the following morning or the day of. I can't remember which way around it was. And that would, something like that, you wouldn't really associate with a travel agent. But she saw the deal and thought, I really like that. I think that's really, really good. I'm going to book it. And I think it's Moulin Rouge she went. So we do things like that. I've also spoken with other people when I've been networking, and they've mentioned, oh, if only we'd known about you earlier, I've just booked to go to America. So this particular client, who you do know, but I'm not going to mention the name if I can, booked a trip to the States for next year, but didn't book the extras, like the helicopter ride from Vegas to the Grand Canyon. And I said, well, I can do that. I can do all that for you. I can do that. Universal Studios when you're in LA, Disney, etc., etc. So I sent her a sheet, again, from a trade-only platform that we use, that guarantees you get these spots. Obviously, they've got to book it. And she's going ahead with some of those things that we spoke about. So, yeah, and then the Formula One stuff's quite interesting, because most people, when they want to go to, let's pick a nice simple one that's outside the UK, Spain. Spanish Grand Prix, they'll fly to Barcelona, so they'll book a flight for that. They might do a flight hotel with maybe EasyJet, and then they'll buy the ticket separately. I can wrap that all up in one. And I can also go to, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, to whichever budget is suitable. So if you and I wanted to go and it was our own money and it wasn't on a corporate thing, and we were just there to, we don't care much about who we fly with, we're not that bothered about the hotel, I've got a budget space for that. But I've also got the position where I can go, well, if you want to get in the pit lane, we can do that as well. So you can stand in the pit lane, you can have dinner with one of the Formula One drivers or former Formula One drivers. David Coulthard of note, he does a little bit of work with one of our suppliers there, and we look after you like a concierge sort of basis. So that's what we can do, and we have access to the whole calendar. We do most of the sports, most of the big music events. There's a lot of stuff out there. I think when I didn't look and count this, but I think when I last looked into this, we've got access to about 12 million options of travel. It's a lot.
Yeah. So it really is a personalised, tailored service that you offer.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the previous meetings we spoke to, obviously I've got a plethora of children, and you were talking about half term and how you can even help people in the UK that are looking to do something in the half term and looking for something. So it's not just all these amazing places, is it? It's other things you can do as well.
No, you're right. And we've got a lot of amazing places in the UK. I mean, we offer parity on everything. So my service is free. It doesn't cost anyone a penny extra over and above what they would see from said supplier. So to kind of qualify that, we deal with host seasons. So if you wanted to book a host seasons package with me, you can just give me the details and I can do it all for you. So you haven't got to worry about any sort of things that go wrong. You'll always be informed and so forth. You've got me as that source of contact, because when you do something like that, yes, you'll get a theme of people that just book the same thing each year, and I recognise the market for that. But also, if they want to ask about anything else, like when you book with online, you haven't got someone there to give you guidance in terms of, have you got travel insurance? Well, why would I need that when I'm travelling in the UK? Okay, what about things like cancellation? What we have no control over is weather. You could lie out and get sunburnt. Yeah, you could go to the hospital. We've got the National Health, but we all know how overrun that is. And it might come to the stage where you have to go somewhere privately. If you've got travel insurance, on the other hand, that could possibly help you, depending on what sort of level of cover you've got. So I for the sake of saving a few £100 or a couple of £100 for a year sort of cover, I just think for peace of mind, that's worth it. And You might have to fly to the host season's place from North Scotland. What happens if your baggage gets lost and you've booked that yourself? That's happened to my dad years and years ago from a much, much farther away place when he was working in India, and he didn't see his baggage for a year. And that's hellishly inconvenient.
So, tell us a little bit of how you got involved, how you've come to not just travel. I believe you've got a bit of a story to tell.
Yeah. So I've always been interested in traveling, and I've visited not hundreds, but over 100 countries now. In my 58 years or so on this planet, and some I've been back to more times than others for either work or pleasure or a bit of both. And I was contemplating on what to do with myself a couple of years ago because I'd been through the COVID thing. I was really trying to gear up towards retirement because I had a pot of money put to one side, and I was doing some sort of consultancy work for some companies that I know from old. Looked at this new technology, AI, and I thought that's going to be flooded with everybody. I think I'm too late, and I just wanted something I'm really passionate and knowledgeable about because I've been on so many damn aeroplanes. It's unbelievable, and I wanted to share my experiences. And I was thinking of doing a blog. So during my research, I stumbled across, and I never do this, I saw this advert on Facebook, and I clicked on it, and I rang the telephone number, and I eventually spoke to one of the co-founders of Not Just Travel. We had a good hour or so. I mean, I can talk, but Paul can talk more than I can. He's an amazing guy. And his passion came over the phone straight away, and I thought, I've got to have a go at this. I really have. Yeah. And that's what I did. You know, I've got a lot of people I can contact. It's obviously never enough, you know, nothing is. But I thought, I've got a database. I've got a product now. Let's go with it. And that's what I've started to do since sort of middle part of January, because I had to go through some training and so forth. But the why was to really help people to realise that actually there's a lot more out there than they would otherwise know by just going on the Google searches, doing what they do.
Yeah, and I think getting to know you, Dave, I think I've seen that as well, that, it isn't just your 2 weeks in Tenerife with your all-inclusive and sat by the pool. You can really do some wonderful trips. What would you say is one of your best trips that you've organised for someone, or weirdest?
I'm very, very early in my journey, so I've got quite a limit of choice, and a lot of them have been quite straightforward in my eyes, but then to others it might not be. So recently I've booked a family of 3 to go to Rhodes, and they're going next month actually, and it's a woman I know called Rachel, and we had a lot of email tennis about have a look at this, have a look at that, and eventually we came to an arrangement. And I picked the phone up and I said, look, Rachel, I've got to say this to you. I'm having trouble getting hold of certain hotels because of the conflict that's going on in the Middle East. And she went, what do you mean by that? Or worse to that effect? And I went, well, basically, because of that, it's having a knock-on effect of where people are travelling. So they're not so keen on going to places like Egypt, the Middle East, and they're thinking, we'll scale back a little bit and go to Greece. And Greece is probably nearer than those countries are anyway, with the exception of Egypt. Yeah. But that's how people are thinking. And I only found that out when I picked up the phone to a supplier of ours that we use. Again, it was a trade-only one. I said, look, I'm trying to help this family out with this. Have you got that? And she said, we can't find anything. I went, why is it so difficult? This is just before the summer holiday break in the UK. And she said, I've been in this industry for 36 years and I've seen this happen time and time again. She said, this will be down to conflict. So that was a really good exercise. We both had a bit of trouble and peril, but we got there in the end, and we got to the resort that she wanted to book originally, which was brilliant. She'd been there before and wanted to revisit and wanted to show her daughter and all this sort of stuff. So I was really keen to get that over the line. And the thing that does not motivate me is how much I get commission-wise. I never look at. I don't even know half the time what I get from the deal, because that bit's not important. It's making sure the customer's got the right product. And we eventually found that, and I think that's probably the one that stands out. And I've done a couple that travel to Australia, and a few others that are sort of standard packages. But I also do group bookings. So there's one that I'm waiting for an answer for, where there's it's not a family, it's a couple of families that are looking to go to, I think it's Mauritius, if my memory serves. So I talk to so many people, I forget. And they're looking to do that over the Christmas period, but there's 20 of them. So it's, there's a lot of scope of what I do. So they're the standouts.
And I suppose where you're dealing with large groups as well, that's something that would be absolute nightmare to try and book yourself online, isn't it? And you need someone like yourself, a specialist, to be able to collate and bring it all together.
Go on to all the popular travel operators, TUI, EasyJet, Jet2, and what you'll find, and especially if you've got a big family, if you're doing that, you'll go, why can't I pull down more than 3 rooms? Because it's considered a group booking, which it is. I think it's 9 and over is the group booking scenario. And that's when you have to pick the phone up and talk to someone. Now, that's very straightforward with me. Even easier if you've got my app, because you just send an inquiry form and I ring you. So you haven't even got to bother about ringing me. I can do that for you. But one of the troubles that you'll have, and it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, you'll be in a queue and you'll be waiting for ages. So if you're at work, dead money. If you're at home, there's other stuff that you can't do because you're sat there on the phone waiting for someone to answer. I do all that for you. So I deal with other companies that have got, not saying that the big boys haven't got an efficient way of dealing with things. They're just very, very busy. But I know some of the providers that I can go and almost get a call within about, speak to someone within about 3-4 minutes, which is a really nice rapid response. And these, again, are the ones that you guys can't get hold of because they're trade-only specialists, and that's how they're set up. And it works. Yeah, it absolutely works.
Yeah. And one thing that I was looking on the website, not just travel.com, for anyone who doesn't know where it is 5 stars out of 5 for Trustpilot with over 5,500 reviews. Yeah. Reviews are massive, and there's not many companies that are sitting with 5 out of 5. So it just shows you the level of the company that not just travel is.
I was. How we achieve that? I've always been taught. I worked for McDonald's years and years ago, and their big thing was, and still is, it's all about the customer experience. I think they used to have the strapline 100% customer satisfaction, but they realise that that's impossible now with the way the world's changed and things like that. So, it paints a picture that we are the perfect company. We're very, very good. I'm not just in travel employee. I'm a franchise owner, so I've got a separate entity, a limited company behind it, and all this sort of thing. But the principles of when we went through our training is all about starting with a blank bit of paper and listen to the customer. So we'll ask questions like, the rudimentary stuff: how many, when, what dates, where do you like to stay, what type of hotel, board basis, what do you like doing when you're there? And then we also go into the family. Is there anyone that's got mobility issues, any health issues we need to consider, etc., etc., etc.? So we kindly gently put our arm around the shoulder and lead them through the journey to the point where we go, right, we've now got that holiday sorted out, but before we do anything, have you got travel insurance? Have you got a place to park your car? Are you driving down to the airport or the port? If you're going on a cruise, do you want to book a drinks package with parking at Southampton? And so on. So we ask those questions. So we go, right, technically speaking, from the moment you leave your house to the time when you get back, we can look after all those bits and pieces in between, and also some trips as well, because there's obviously excursions people like to do. We can do that. As I say, going back to people that have already booked elsewhere, they're quite interesting because we can plug the gaps that are made by others that haven't thought about that, or you don't have that option on the website. I mean, I'm looking at one for Disney at the moment for a big family, and this sounds complicated, but it's not. It's 11 people travelling in total. Some rooms are going to have 4. Some rooms are going to, so it's a 4, and a 3. That's right. That's 11, right? So they're all families. So it's mum, dad, 4 children, granny, granddad, brother's wife, and brother's can't remember if it's daughter or son, but brother's child. And they've split it up and go. If we have two of each in our rooms, and then brother and wife, etc., 3 rooms, and so forth. I've looked at the flight, the accommodation type. I've looked at how to get them from Charles de Gaulle. I was wanting to do it with Eurostar, sold out, so that's gone. I mean, this is for next year, sold out. So there's a message there. If you're thinking of doing something like that, getting quick, because these things are going, even though we don't realise they are. It's madness, absolute madness.
And listening to you, it's these little extras that when you do it yourself, you forget about.
Yeah, you do.
Like the drinks package. You arrive on that cruise and go, how the hell did they get that drinks package?
Yeah.
And it'll be things that they missed or they can't get access to that you are able to open up for them. And I think that's probably what
the good example, Shaun, on that is we had a promotion, and again, these all I'm going to bang on about my app all the time because it is so important. We get things come through on the app. Recently, it was I think it was P&O departing from Southampton to the Caribbean circa the 24th of October, and we've got cabin prices starting at £899 per person. That's 14 nights, and there's a flight back, by the way, back to the UK. It's either London or Manchester. And I'm thinking, crikey, this is cheap. Now, when you book a cruise, you tend to get what's known as full board. So, you get there, you're on, you have 3 meals, and you'll have tea and coffee. That's technically what full board is. When you buy a drinks package with parking, as it says on the thing, you can park at the dock, you get there, they take your cases from you, you just go off with your little stuff, and you're straight on the ship to go. So you can start using the amenities straight away. And the drinks packages covers things like soft drinks and obviously alcohol. So that's the all-inclusive version. So most people will look at it and go, great, I can do an all-inclusive version of this. And it's still going to be really good value in comparison to flying there, what we call a flying flop. So that means flying, getting to destination and flopping down on the beach. And you can do all that on the ship. You don't have to be you don't have to be in sand as such. You can literally be by the beach. Well, you're on it. You're on the sea, aren't you? So I really like that concept. But I also recognise it's not for everyone, and that's the good thing about this. I've got something that I can flip them over to. I said, well, if you don't like that, we might have something near. And talking to our trade partners, and I never thought of this. I said, I've got someone who's interested in a villa, and they use the term a home from home. I think that's genius because that's exactly what a villa is. Yeah. It's not your house; it's someone else's house, but it operates like a house because it's a house. Yeah. So we get these little nuggets there come up every now and then.
And you talk about your app. How do people access your app? And we can put the link. We can put the links into the show notes if there's a link. Yeah.
I can send it to you. But to tell you how to get it is very simple. So you go onto whichever device you've got for your app store and type in WOW Travel. That's WOW, new word, travel. When you find the app, it will say WOW Travel on it. It's got like a burgundy background with white writing. It's quite distinctive. When you download it, you need to do a quick registration process, and this doesn't cost you anything. It's not paid for or anything like that. It's completely free. Put your email address, phone number in, and it'll ask you to enter a code, an agent code. The agent code to enter is capital D, capital A, 000357. Once you've done that, any information, inquiries, if you want to get hold of someone, that comes straight to me. So I see the people that have registered. Yep. It doesn't go to another database where you'll get a load of spam that people kind of get worried about and things like that. And the purpose of the app is to help inspire, give you ideas. Obviously, there's plenty of deals that go through. They even keep some of the old ones on there that have gone. I mean, there's stuff on there that's back in May, even earlier this year. And I thought, what? Why? But it's to give people the idea of what we can do, the sort of things that we can offer.
Yeah,
And you
get that
can go
uniqueness
down
across
and
the.
let's say, for sake of argument, there was one for Formula One, and it might not be the particular event that you want to go to. You can send an inquiry to me and say, like this, can you do something like this in America, for example? And I can respond accordingly.
Yeah. So touching on social media,
Yeah,
obviously such a powerful tool, and especially in your line of work, is to get that message into people's feeds. What's the biggest challenge you've got at the moment, David, with social media?
Where to start? I mean, I get dozens of emails daily about new things that are coming into the industry, whether it's a trip or legislation, or the boring stuff that obviously we need to know that we like to inform our people about. But it's keeping up with everything. It's almost impossible. In fact, I'd say it is. So I've got very good at skim reading emails now to see, actually, that would resonate with my audience. The pluses, I suppose, and especially with Facebook, because all the travel people are on there, they're doing it in a way now that we can share the posts that are important that we can share, because they also post some information that would be of no interest to you guys. But if there was a special offer coming through, I mean, we deal with company called Classic Collection, and they've got another business called Classic Packages. So Collection is the higher end side of things, and the package is they're like an equivalent to TUI. They will often post, we've got this for Turkey, and it's like, I don't know, 500 quid per person in the summer holidays, and it might be bed and breakfast or something like that. But I'd share that in a heartbeat, because I know, again, that's a trade only thing, and I'm not worried about their branding and such. I just want to inform people, and that just gets me in front. I know that. I don't have any vanity things about people commenting or liking such like, but I do have people that like and share and all that sort of thing. I suppose also the unknown, isn't it? Yeah, I've got no idea who's looking at it, because my Facebook, my Instagram, LinkedIn, in fact, all the socials I'm on are open. Anyone can find me. We get the odd silly message come through, and I deal with that as I see fit. But it's keeping up with the information, because there's an awful lot out there. And you know that phrase, less is more? I really should follow that.
And I suppose that's the hardest. I suppose that is a challenge for you, isn't it? Is that you've got so much to offer. What do you tell people without going, oh, there's that bloody Dave again going on about bloody Mauritius, and I can't afford it, and he keeps talking about it. Yeah. I suppose it's again dealing with someone like yourself. You know who your audience is, so the consistency of the messaging that you're putting out across the channels and tailoring it to your audience, where we talk about some of the bigger names that they're just pumping whatever they want, they're just pumping it out, and not really, because they've got such a wide, they don't know who their audience are, where you're like you say, you've got that personal touch, so you know who your audience are. What we'll do is we'll put your social media links and everything into the show notes as well, so everyone can. I would highly recommend go and follow Dave across these social media, even just to get inspired for your next break.
Yeah.
2024 and beyond. Where are people going on holiday?
Well, it's interesting. The call I had with US Air Tours, they've said, interestingly enough, we had a really busy start to the year. We're still doing, business and so forth, but we're noticing it's different to last year. But they specialise in the Americas, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't follow news, so apologies if I've got this wrong. Like we have over here, there's an election impending and all that, and that affects how people do things and travel as well. I've never understood why, because Why would that halt you? I don't get it. But
Yeah.
it does affect businesses. It affects people's thinking and so forth. Turkey's always popular. We do a lot with turkey. The Formula One thing, the most popular one that we do is Abu Dhabi, which I think's the last one. Shaun, is that
Yes,
the one at the
it
end?
is. Yes.
Yeah. That's another good one that we do a fair bit of. We are, we've got the Euros this year, the European Championship, so we're doing bits and pieces out there because that kicks off today, doesn't it? So there's all sorts of bits and pieces. The traditionals like Spain, France, Greece. The Greek islands are always popular. The Canaries are popular too. But now that we are helping people get to other places further afield and it's becoming more affordable, we're noticing we get lots and lots of deals for places like the Maldives, Mauritius, the Caribbean. And we can do anything from your 3-star sort of family sort of budget holiday, if you like, right up to, we even do a 6-star cruise as well. So how that looks, it's incredible. So we genuinely do have something for everybody, and the cruising market in particular is the biggest growth for us as a business,
Right.
and I mean in all of travel. I think we're growing 35% year on year on that at the moment. It's really remarkable because they're now targeting families. It used to be known as quite exclusive and for certain age groups and people with a certain depth of pocket. Now it's becoming more affordable. I mean, I mentioned the one for 900 quid. I mean, it won't be around for long. That'll go. That's really affordable to quite a few sort of sectors. And I recognise there's others that won't.
It also shows you when Disney are doing cruises that it's completely, like you say, it completely changed.
Yeah.
I think I've been lucky in a previous career. I was an air steward in the Royal Air Force. I served for 8 years, and I was very lucky that I got to see quite a lot of the world. And we stayed in a certain standard of hotel, no less than 4. It was always usually 5. So I've been quite lucky. I've seen. I got stuck in Washington DC for 2 weeks. That was terrible, being stuck there for 2 weeks. I think the most wonderful place that I've been to is Azerbaijan.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, a different. It's almost it's not. It's almost off the beaten track. It's not touched by the whole touristy.
Yeah,
it still keeps that uniqueness. And obviously there's F1 there as well now.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. It's a remarkable place. I mean, people wouldn't have thought to have gone there for a holiday 10 years ago. And now it's becoming easier and easier and easier to travel. The world is kind of getting smaller, isn't it? I mean, I for my 50th a few years ago, we went to New Zealand, and I loved it. I spent about a week in Auckland, then we flew across to Perth, Australia, and spent about 3 weeks there and then home. And it was brilliant. One of the best holidays I've ever had. But I've also done Zimbabwe. My father worked there, and I went there, did Victoria Falls, I did the safari. So when I hear people talking about safaris, I know I've done that all right. It was a few years back, but I know how awe-inspiring they are. And that expanse of water, which is over a mile, by the way, and it's 7 separate falls that are joined, I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Yeah. And like you say, I think travel is becoming more affordable. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think people's confidence in traveling post-COVID is back to, would you say it's back to normal now?
It's almost back to normal, yeah. And despite that, we're busier as an organisation than we've ever been in terms of numbers of trips that we're doing. The value of the average value price has gone up. It used to be £2,500 average value of a booking. It's now nearly double that in the space of 3 years. That's pretty astonishing. And that's down to a lot of the hard work that the team do, sourcing, the marketing that we do and the help that we get from our travel providers.
Yeah, I think, the days of when I was younger, my first holiday when I was 11 was to Lorette de Mar.
Yeah.
It was self-catering in this little room above a bakery, and it was all English, all pubs and all that lot. People don't want that anymore, do they? They want something unique now, don't they? And I think that's where you come in, isn't it?
It does tend to be that way because people. One way of putting it, I suppose, is if Dad was to come to me, a dad of a family, come to me and say, "Look, I'm thinking of doing this with the family. My immediate goal is I want to turn this guy into a rock star when he goes back to tell his significant other and the kids, this is where we're going and this is what we're doing whilst we're away," because that'll go, "Oh my God, Dad, you are amazing." Now, I don't want or need any recognition for doing that behind the scenes for him, but that's what I can do. And I get quite a few people. I was at a BNI meeting this morning, and people, when we were talking offline, were saying, "Oh, we know someone who loves planning holidays." I think, why? Why would you love planning holidays? Why do you want to do all that research? I can do it for you. Remember, I've got access to 40% of my providers are trade only, which yields 60% of the travel deals that we do in its entirety. Now, that tells you a story straight away. But we have got access to not just the ones you can find, but others. And we've got something like, I think it's 460 I saw on the sheet in terms of actual providers that we deal with. So there's a lot there, an awful lot. So that's something else we do. And the good thing is as well, we've got access to within the organisations, people at quite a senior level as well, and that can be great when there's problems that need to be sorted out and so on and so forth. So proper decision makers, whereas bless them, and they do a terrific job. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the high street shops or the online travel thing. They have to go through a line. Well, we can cut out that and get to that top of the line quicker.
Yeah, and so anyone who's watching the video recording, I'm just putting Dave's website up there, notjustfortravel.com. But I would highly recommend you download Dave's app so you get his personal service on your next travel.
With that link, Shaun, that's the generic one for the group. So my actual website is what you just put up there, but before Not Just Travel, you put Dave McColl and then that. And I tend to put the HTTPS bit in because for some reason the www one sometimes can throw a little bit, but I can supply the link later on if that's okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they're all out. And for those who are watching any little mini clips during the week, we'll have all the links in the descriptions and everything.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners, Dave? That any nuggets of top tips maybe for booking their holiday? Obviously, come to you as the major top tip.
Especially, yes, obviously that, but especially if you want to do something. You must excuse me. There's an alarm going off locally, and I've got no idea where it's coming from. Someone needs to say, "Stop there." If you want to do something that's got an element of travel that's more than one destination, that straight away is quite a headache. I take all that away from you. So all you have to do, give me numbers, give me facts, what you want to do. An example could be a flight to New York, and then you want to hop over to the West Coast, and whilst you're there, you want to do Disney, you want to do Universal Studios, you want to go over to Alcatraz, get on the hop-on, hop-off bus, you might want to hire a car. Now, if you did all that separately, you're dealing with about 7 different people, maybe more. I can do all that, and all you got to do is deal with me. That's it. Single source of contact, one-stop shop. I take all that complex stuff away from you because you know what you want to do. But when you're typing it in certain things that are restricted, you can't tell them, actually, I want an earlier flight than that. Why can't I find another one? So we can do that. The ball is really in your court. You've got the power to tell me what I'm going to find for you, and I obviously have to come back and deliver that for you. So that's the advice, if that's such a a thing to do that I would give, if that helps.
Yeah. So definitely, before you book your next trip, speak to Dave, and he will either find you a wonderful and amazing, never forgotten trip, or he will just save you the headache of you trying to sort it out for yourself.
What I don't do is, and when people come to me, one of the first questions I ask them is, are you looking at this with someone else? Because what I mean by that is I'm probably looking at the same people. So, for instance, I've got one mate, he only likes using TUI. And I said, I can book that for you, but what would you offer that they can't? And I go, okay, so I can do all the travel that they do, the insurance that they do. I can do the car hire that sometimes they don't do in certain destinations. But you have to also remember, TUI aren't worldwide. When they do stuff in the Far East, because I've booked with them, you're not on a TUI flight. You certainly aren't using their hotel. So they're using some of the suppliers that I'm using. So that, and I found that out obviously when I joined, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. So you can cut that, and it comes back to, what if things go wrong? Getting hold of these bigger firms, you'll send an email, you'll get a response, or you'll do it through the app. I had to with mine, and I didn't get a response back for about 72 hours. I wouldn't leave it longer than a day. You know, my response time is really quick. That's how I'm geared. Yes, when I get busier and bigger, I'll have someone else that will deal with all that and all that sort of stuff. But because I'm the single source of contact, it's less complex. And of course, with the big boys, you're not guaranteed on getting hold of the same person. They could be off on holiday. You can't WhatsApp them. You can't send them a telegram or use Signal. I'm on all them. I'm emailable, of course, personally, so I get back to people that way. And of course, you can send me a WhatsApp, or you could just pick the phone up and talk to me. You know, I've got all those avenues covered. And you know, you see my mug on my website. You know what I look like, and which I don't know which way you look at it, could be good or bad. But you know, that's what I offer that the high street people can't. And I hope that's nice and clear. So these complicated trips can be very, very complex. And we don't press buttons. We talk to people. We pick the phone up and say, look, we've got this, we've got that. Actually, I've just noticed whilst they're out there, they've got a birthday that they've not told us about. Because obviously we've got the date of births and the travel zones there. Can we have a chat at the hotel so we can get them a cake or something? Or a bottle of something nice? And sometimes that can work. Sometimes we hear about half-board holidays in the Maldives, where for a period of time they'll have a free upgrade to all-inclusive. And that's significant savings that we can present to the customer as well. But like always, they don't hang around for long. They're not there for too long. People got to be quick.
Yeah. So anyone planning a holiday, speak to Dave. He'll sort you out.
Yep.
And he'll be there to take that pain and away from you. Dave, it's been brilliant speaking to you today.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you very much for your time. I'll have to get you back on because, like you say, you've got so much to talk about. We'll have to get you back on. So if anyone's got any questions they want for Dave, Dave's always said he'll come back on. So if you've got any questions, we can obviously get Dave back on and we get those questions answered. Next week, we have got another Circle member joining me. I've got the lovely Jessie Jerome joining us from the Collective Edition. She project manages people's homes, helping people plan and deliver their home goals in an affordable manner. So I'm quite looking forward to that. As a man with 6 children at home, can she do something to help me? So that's next week. Once again, Dave, thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to speaking to everyone next time.
Thanks very much for having me, Shaun.